Well, when you're trading and you get that high of a big win, that's a high that you want to get back almost limitlessly. Like you want, as soon as you got out of the trade, you're thinking, man, that was great. Let me go again. Like there's something in the chart that's going to give you that same 15 handle run again. It's done. Like you got to stop. So a lot of the things that I hear him talk about, whether he realizes it, is some of the things I've been talking about in my lectures. I'm using him as like a model to help coach. While I'm not actively saying I'm teaching him, I'm using the things that he's making public as a point of concern for himself or personal goals, or he's reflecting on what he feels he's done incorrectly and wishes he had a way to overcome it. I'm using that model of him and what he's focusing on or contending with. I'm using that in my lectures. So while I'm not drawing special attention, obviously you know now, but I'm not trying to say, look, I'm your mentor. Yeah, that's not what it is. I'm just trying to be a help. That's all. And hopefully, by this real world person trying to do this, if you can learn from the advice I'm giving and say he doesn't take this in consideration and doesn't do anything with it, or tries it and says it didn't work for me, okay, that's fine. Somebody else that's listening to everything I'm doing might warm up to the idea and it fits them perfectly. It may be the very things that they've wrestled with, and then now they figured out that thing that was a hindrance, the thing that was the problem, the rock in their shoe, if you will. Once they remove it, then they can walk, without a limp. They can get right to where they're going with no reason to feel like you're being impeded on and slowed down. They won't have that fear of holding on to a trade. They won't have a fear of being stopped out, because they know what they're looking for is going to repeat over and over and over again. And it's one thing to have a model that you think is good when you first start finding profitability. That might be a profitable model, but what tends to happen is you try to demand more than what the model can provide. And that's the reason why I have to have different setups. I'm not comfortable accepting a one trick, one pony type thing. I can't, my mind won't let that happen. Especially knowing what I know about price and how it delivers, I know there's a plethora of things that I can utilize to get into other setups. And I try to showcase that. And unfortunately, what that has done is created an insatiable desire for everyone else to do all those things too. And you're equating that is the only way of determining success with me. Or you're not a real ICT student unless you can do everything that I've ever taught about. And that's not true. All you need to be able to do is find one setup. And I've done my best, and I don't know how to do it any better than stripping it down to simply 5 handles. And I talked about in a Twitter space last week how that might not be. It sounds like someone just got shot, to be honest with you. Hang on one second. I'm in my Highlander down in Bel Air, but it just sounded like somebody just shot off 3 shots. There you go. Live and on the scene. Here's ICT reporting. I don't see nothing. As long as they ain't shoot at me, I'm good. I didn't see nothing. So you might go after those 5 handles. And like I'm teaching my son, Cameron, and what I've mentioned also in the Twitter spaces, that what happens if you're trying to start off as that 5 handle trader, and you're going to find that can be found a lot intraday. Lots of opportunities of that occurring. And you can be bias neutral, meaning you don't have to have the bias correct. So for the folks that are struggling with bias right now, I'm giving you a way to study and look for setups. And it's such a small range of movement and price 5 handles is nothing. Like, it's literally nothing. But for you, it may not have probably seemed like worth it at all, because you hear other people saying, oh, ha, ha, 5 handles, you got a little dick. Yeah, no. 5 handles can change your entire life if you know how to find them consistently. High frequency algorithms are taking many times huge numbers of trades just to get less than 1 handle move. So who's fucking laughing? Okay. The clowns that have an ego problem and have a superiority complex and they have a small audience. That's the ones that are bitching and making up bullshit. So you shouldn't listen to those people anyway. But what happens if you're aiming for those 5 handles, but you don't have the confidence yet because you're new, and that's understandable, but you take it off when you get 3 handles, and you do that for months until you find that level of comfort doing it, because some of it is going to be requiring you to do things longer than you think it's going to take right now. And when I just said that, several months, and some of the trolls are snickering and laughing. He said do 3 handles for months, because this is hard for some people. It's scary. Like I had to overcome a lot just to get into trades in 1992. Like, it was scary after my first trade, which I impulsively just jumped in because I had to just do something. I felt like I had to do it. And if I could be honest for a second, it was much like when, maybe this doesn't make sense. I think I've talked about this before. My son Caleb said that he understands this perfectly, but it might be a byproduct of us having the same DNA too. But have you ever drove your car? And I promise we'll come back to the 3 handle and 5 handle. I promise we're going to go right back to that. But when we have episodes where you're driving, okay, just say I've experienced that. Or if you never experienced it, but you think it's fucking weird and funny, respond on Twitter too. That way I know everybody's awake still. But you ever drive your car on a bridge and start questioning yourself, what happens if I just jerk the wheel to the right really hard and just go off of it? Like, and did you ever feel that and begin to fear your body just doing it out of just like it's going to do it and you had no say in it, and fearing that your arm's just going to do it like a knee-jerk reaction, like a reflex? It sounds crazy to some people, but I promise you, in this audience, I guarantee you, some of you have experienced that. And you're thinking, man, I hope I don't drive off this bridge. You don't do it, but sometimes you start questioning, like, what happens if that happened? That would be embarrassing. No, you're going to fucking prison. Not prison, but you're going to the grave. And if you turn into a crowd of people, or do something like that into another car, you're going to injure somebody, then you're going to go to jail, right? Or die in the process. That moment when I got into my first trade in 1992, and I did that orange juice option, it was almost like that same feeling. Like, it felt like it was an overwhelming, I have to do something, and almost like I didn't have any control over it. Like, I literally was pushed subconsciously to make a dumb decision. And I know, looking backwards at that moment, how it was one of the most reckless and just careless decisions I've ever done with money. And obviously the outcome showed me that was careless. I lost 50% of what I put up in the option, which was a lot of money to me back then. And I just closed the account immediately after that. I said, okay, send me my money. I wasn't ready. I was scared that I was going to do something like that again and lose the rest of it, right? So you might have those impulses where you're fearful of what you might do to yourself in trading, which is what I had. And I had to be conditioned to go in looking at the market from a different approach than just one entry technique. It feels too, in my opinion, because I wrestle with all this bullshit and obsessive compulsive disorder, it feels too myopic for me to know only one way of getting into a marketplace. And my opinion of a highly efficient trader, they should have more than one way to get in. And I felt if I didn't have that, I was not properly equipped to trade. So I wanted to have a repertoire of things. Because in my mindset was, I'll have a tool for whatever the fuck they bring to me. Whatever that market's going to do today, I will have a trade. Now, I can do that today, but admittedly, that was a dumb decision, which caused me to make a lot of tweaks and mess with stuff and blow accounts trying to make things happen when I didn't have any proof behind what it was I was trying to force as a trader when I first started. And for some, if you listen to me as a benchmark of 5 handles, you're starting from ground zero. So 5 handles is a huge win. If you just get that one time a week and you stop and you don't lose it, that's a good thing. That's good. Especially if you're doing it with one mini contract. You're doing $1,250 a week. Well, that's not entirely true, is it? If you're doing it multiple times each week, you can build it up to that. It's 25 handles. But if you do it every single day, do that, you're going to get it that way. But if you just, right now, for instance, the folks that are in Africa, you are challenged